Welcome to the course Asia 353, Introduction to Hindi Film. This week's topic is Courtesan Culture in Bollywood. I'll discuss today the concept of courtesan culture, its relation to the art of classical dance and music. I'll talk about the lives of courtesans and their social positions. We will also discuss how Bollywood depicted the courtesan culture, the Tawaif and Kotha culture in Hindi films. And finally, in little more details, I'll take the 1981 Muzaffar Ali's film Umrao Jaan, that is based on the late 19th century Urdu novel Umrao Jaan Ada by Mirza Hadi Ruswa. So, let's start. The courtesan culture in India has a very long history. Many historical novels have been written on the lives of courtesans from the ancient India. Amrapali, also known as Vaishali ki Nagar Vadhu, the royal bride of the ancient kingdom of Vaishali, is one of the famous courtesans of ancient India. Chitralekha was also a fictional character, a courtesan created by the Hindi novelist Bhagwati Charan Verma. The plot of the story here also was in ancient India. The courtesan culture continued in the medieval India. Before we go further and discuss the medieval courtesan culture, I'd like to mention and define few Urdu words here. I'll be using these words in the lecture very frequently. Tawaif. Tawaif is a courtesan girl. Kotha. Kotha is a house where Tawaif lives with other Tawaifs and the main lady of the house. In Kotha, the Tawaif entertains her clients. Mujra is a gathering in Kotha where singing, dance, and poetry recitals take place for the elites and patrons of the Tawaifs. In pre-colonial India, the Kothas, Tawaifs, played an important role in preserving the art of classical dance and music. The Kotha, Tawaif, the Mujra culture was a significant part of the elite lifestyle. The aristocrats, royalty, Nawabs, they used to frequent the Kothas to admire the art of classical dance, music, and poetry recital. The entire courtesan culture had an important place in the lavish and decadent life of the elites. The decline of courtesan culture started in the British Raj, and by the time India gained her independence, it was completely wiped out as a cultural institution. The courtesans, as I mentioned, were the girls who lived in Kotha and entertained the elites with their singing and dances, the Mujra. But there's more to the concept of Tawaif than simply conducting the Mujra for the high class of the society, the elites. The Tawaifs were highly educated, trained not only in the art of singing and dancing, but also in poetic and literary traditions. They were highly sophisticated, cultured, and had a great knowledge of poetry. In fact, they themselves wrote poetry. They had mastery in etiquette. The high class of the society, the royalty, used to send their sons to Tawaif to be trained and educated in tehzeeb, the etiquettes. They were sent to Tawaif to learn to appreciate the high class music, dance, and poetry. At the time when the majority of womenfolk in the society was not educated and they were in fact illiterate and had very few rights, the Tawaifs controlled their own destiny. They were educated and could choose their own clients. The Tawaifs had clientele from the highest class of the society. They lived under the patronage of Nawabs and kings who gave them lavish gifts. Although the Tawaifs were very sophisticated and educated women and lived lavish lives, they had some social limitations. There was a stigma attached to their being, their existence. They lived on the margins of the society. They were ostracized by the mainstream society as prostitutes. The courtesan could not fall in love, as they knew that their love will not be realized. Their client could not marry them. They could not have a normal family life. Although sometimes they did have children with their patrons, but the children were not recognized by the fathers, and they had to live in kothas. The life of a courtesan was a mixed bag of happiness and sorrow. The Hindi film industry has not ignored this cultural institution. In fact, Bollywood has paid tribute to these carriers of the unique Indian cultural heritage by frequently making films on them. Mughal-e-Azam, Pakiza, Umrao Jaan, Devdas, Kalank are few big names that portrayed the courtesan culture through the film media. Let's now talk about this week's film Umrao Jaan. The usual spoiler alert. Please watch the film before watching the video further. This week's film is Umrao Jaan. a courtesan film made by Muzaffar Ali in 1981. The film is based on the story of the Urdu novel Umrao Jaan, written by Mirza Hadi Ruswa in 1899. Umrao Jaan is considered the first Urdu novel. The film is a story of a tawaf who, as a young girl, was kidnapped and sold to a kotha. She embraces the kotha life and learns the art of singing, dancing, and poetry writing. When she becomes proficient in these arts, she starts entertaining the high-class society. A Nawab, a royal, visits her and gets enchanted by her beauty, sophistication, dancing, and singing. They both fall in love with each other, but the love is destined to be a failure, as the society is not ready to accept the love between a royal and a tawaf. The story has other twists and turns, and it finishes as she goes to her native place and meets her mother and younger brother. They do not accept her as she is a tawaf, and it is a stain in their social position. She returns back to the kotha. As much as the film is a story of Umrao Jaan, the film is also a documentary evidence of the courtesan life. The film beautifully depicts the lavish life of a courtesan and their kothas. It also depicts the hard work a courtesan girl puts in to learn singing, dancing, and also poetry writing. The tehzeeb, the etiquettes of the Royal Lucknow is exquisitely portrayed in the film. The failure of the love affair with the Nawab, or rejection by her own biological family, is shown as the reality of the life for a tawaf who is doomed to live on the margins of the society. Since she has the stain of being a tawaf, she could never be a part of the main society. The actress Rekha played the role of Umrao Jaan and did a brilliant job. Her diction in Urdu, her dances, acting, it was all superbly done in the film. The Royal Lucknow and the elite life was made alive in the film. Rekha won the National Award for Best Actress that year for her acting in Umrao Jaan. Umrao Jaan has become some kind of a mythical figure. Many directors have made films on the story of Umrao Jaan. Before Muzaffar Ali's Umrao Jaan in 1981, there were already 3 films made in Hindi Urdu. In 1958, the film Mehendi, and also in 1958, another film Zindagi Ya Tufan were made in India. In 1972, a Pakistani director, Hasan Tariq, also made a film under the name Umrao Jaan Ada. Again in 2006, in Bollywood, J.P. Datta made another film on her story, Umrao Jaan, with Aishwarya Rai. In 2003, a Pakistani television serial is also made on the life of Umrao Jaan. Different renderings of the story of Umrao Jaan Ada has made her a cultural figure. The stories in different renderings sometimes differ significantly. However, all of them remind the viewers of the lost heritage of the aristocrat culture. Here, I would briefly like to discuss the 2 Bollywood Umrao Jaans, one by Muzaffar Ali in 1981 and J.P. Datta in 2006. The 1981 Muzaffar Ali's Umrao Jaan with Rekha had set a very high standard for any future rendering of Umrao Jaan's story. The impeccable direction by Muzaffar Ali, the brilliant acting by Rekha, Farooq Sheikh, Nasiruddin Shah, Raj Babbar and others, the very authentic and lavish sets made the entire experience unique and enjoyable. On the other hand, the 2006 J.P. Datta's Umrao Jaan was also a decent attempt, but could not match Ali's Umrao Jaan. The diction by Abhishek Bachchan was rather poor, but Aishwarya Rai did a pretty decent job as Umrao Jaan. The direction made the story a little over-the-top melodramatic. In my personal opinion, Muzaffar Ali's Umrao Jaan was not simply the story of a courtesan girl, it was also a portrayal of the life of courtesans in general. J.P. Datta's Umrao Jaan, on the other hand, was mainly the love story of the protagonist. The depiction of the courtesan life was secondary to the story. The scene showing cathartic episodes made the story more of a love story than a courtesan life story. However, both films bring the nostalgic feeling for pre-colonial India, the medieval India. Please watch the film if you haven't, and also do the reading. We will do the discussion on the film when we meet. Finally, I would like to sign off with the most popular song and dance from the film, Dil Cheez Kya Hai Meri Jaan Lijiye, sung by Asha Bhosle, music given by Khayyam, and lyrics written by Shahryar. Enjoy the song.
चीज क्या है आप मेरी चलो